Welcome to Brown Girls Can, the podcast where black and brown brilliance meets real talk. This podcast is your safe space to be seen, heard, and of course, celebrated. I'm your host, Shateria, the founder and visionary behind the Brown Girls Can brand and movement. Every podcast episode, we're gonna laugh loud and dive deep into the stories, careers, and bold dreams of women who are redefining what's possible. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of Brown Girls Can, the podcast. Y'all know I'm your host, Shateria, and I'm joined by the amazing Miss Grace, the Joy Strategist. Come on. Oh my gosh, I'm in Manhattan. Y'all, the places that God has taken me, this morning on the way here, I just was like, you are in New York. Like, what started as just like an idea and like, what if? It is really, it's blessing me beyond measure. And so I'm so grateful, so thankful. We're going to get into all the things, but you guys know that on this podcast, we do sip. So I always ask the guests their preference. And we have another juice drinker. Y'all know last time we had a...
Sorry.
We had a juice drinker, so we have more green juice with ginger, kale, green apple, all the things. And we're sipping out of Brown Girls Can mugs. Y'all have never seen those. These are exclusive, modeled by Miss Grace Harry. So we're going to cheers to a good episode. Boom.
Okay, I'm going to do it this way.
Oh. Ooh, good episode. Ooh, that is good.
The fountain of youth.
I taste that ginger.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. All right. Tell the people who you are, what you do, what you bring to the world. I love it.
Well, I don't know where to begin.
At the beginning?
I start with I'm a mother, which feels to me the most important. And these days, especially, raising a future adult. My background is I was a chef at The Cosby Show. I ran creative and marketing digital record labels for 32 years. Managed my third husband's career, Usher Raymond, touring around the world. And my real passion is inspiring people to tap into their inner GPS, their heart, their joy, their passion, and never lose that no matter what you think you have to do to survive. So the Joy Strategist, I wrote a book. It's on Disney. It's right here. So proud of it. And really it's because I need more people to play with and less people to just be sad.
I know that's right. Hey, we're going to get into all the things. I was reading this book and any page you like thumb to, it's like, I need that. Oh, I love it.
Well, I really wanted people to not have to, there's so many things to read and to study and to be and to grow and that's fantastic if that's your thing. But also having one of my favorite books is The Gene Keys. Mm-hmm. And Richard Rudd talks about you can open it and read it. It's very dense and feeling academic. Or you can ask a question and open it like an oracle. So I really wanted this to be that way. It's like we all are bespoke humans. We might need different things. So wherever you open it to, you'll find something.
And that is so true because I was like, oh, it was just so good. And you talk about so many different things. But before we get into the Joy Strategist, this may be a little bit morbid, but we'll pick it back up. Both of my parents passed away from HIV and AIDS. And so in her bio, I read that you co-founded
Yes.
America is Dying Slowly.
That's right.
And so that philanthropy move for me, I was like, that tugged at my heartstrings because that definitely, we need more people like that.
Well, what was interesting was at the time, this is the late 90s, and now we're hearing about this situation that feels like is taking over. Mm-hmm. And I had a family member who was diagnosed with HIV. Mm-hmm. And what I was noticing was that it was the beginning of artists feeling like they had to use their voice, Mm-hmm. MTV was doing Rock the Vote. There's all these things happening. And I found a small company called the Red Hot organization, ran by a man named John Carlin. And he was creating all these albums for Brazil and different places, really using the money for education around HIV prevention. I can't talk. But what I was noticing, there was a huge rise in Black women. And there was a woman in Harlem started a company called Hale House. Why am I not remembering anything this morning? She had a brownstone, and she was taking in kids who were now recently orphaned because their parents were passing. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought, artists who are talking need education. They were saying things like you can get it from a toilet seat and all kinds of not correct information. So I asked him if I could do one specifically to raise money for education in communities of color.
Yeah.
And I went to every rapper and artist that I knew at the time and said, will you give me a track? Will you do something for free for this album? And I was overwhelmed that everyone said yes. It was such a beautiful thing. And then MTV ended up having a show. They did a show around it, and Wu-Tang came and did the show for free. Old dirty bastard made it very fun, complicated. It was very stressful, but it was a blessing, and I was so proud and grateful to be able to do that.
Amazing. When I read that, I was like, oh, and it just reminded me that there is a place for everybody, and there's something inspiring and something taught about every single thing, even when it may seem like it is morbid, but there's a upside and a positive side to everything.
That's really the basis of my book and what I talk about. Mm-hmm. We live in a world that we're supposed to pick something. Yeah. We're supposed to be happy. We're supposed to be glowing up. We're supposed to be slaying it. We're supposed to be being our best selves. We're supposed to be the nicest people, the most happy people. None of those things are realistic. There's nothing in nature that doesn't have both. Yeah. There's nothing in nature that doesn't have a cyclical up, down, waves, the sun, the moon. So why are we not allowed to also live in our shadow side? Mm-hmm. And it's only in understanding who you are in truth, the full spectrum of you, do you get to choose how you operate in joy, how you operate in love, how you operate in friendship, which is something that took me 50 years to learn. And it's special and important that you're talking about that, because people need permission to really express, with full integrity, of course, their true feelings. Yeah. So, I'm glad that you're talking about things that are uncomfortable. Yeah. It's only through those portals do we get to the truth of who we are.
That is so, so true. What is the Joy Strategist? Okay, so I think I watched you on Angela Yee, and then you said, I made it up.
I did make it up. We're so smart and equally not smart for the same reason. Mm-hmm. And we learn something. I'm guilty of this myself at times. And all of a sudden, we're that thing. I remember when everyone learned the word triggered, all of a sudden it was some kind of shield of defense. Like, I'm triggered, everyone stop talking. But I started to realize that when someone's triggered, it's a you're welcome. Because something has been arisen in you that is uncomfortable. That's not for me to fix for you. That's for you to recognize, oh, I'm uncomfortable. I actually just ran into the woman on the way here, and I worked for this company called Dia. I was consulting for them, and I went to a meeting with some of her staff, and this woman was instantly defensive. So I got defensive.
I know that's
right. And then all of a sudden, I thought, this is crazy. Why are we in a battle around this? This woman has not met me before. She doesn't know why I was brought in by the senior team. Let me refresh and give her some perspective and some background. And I realized, that comes from my older days in the music industry, where you had to stand up for yourself and be bold and, for survival. Yeah. But I don't want to operate with other humans like that. So it took me understanding this is my trigger. This is the character I built to be a super person in entertainment. That's not necessarily how I want to deal with humans going forward. So, I could go on about that forever.
Go on. We're here to listen. When I was reading through this, I was like, it made me start thinking, what do I define joy as? And I think that is such a profound thing. What is joy to you? You know what I mean? Is it an action? Is it produced from from another feeling? What brings me joy? And I was thinking about that on the way here. I'm like, my family brings me joy. Now that the podcast and Brown Girls Can, the movement is picking up, creating space for other women, teens and girls, that is really what in these current days has been bringing a true smile to my face. before I came here, Sunday, we had an event, and it was called Brown Girls Can Exhale. And we watched Waiting to Exhale, and we had dinner. And while the movie was going, we were bringing out different foods. So it was like immersive dinner and a movie experience. And I have been getting reviews back from the women, and like to hear them really say, I needed that. You know, thanks for creating that atmosphere for me to be able to just like breathe and take a moment for me. So, yeah.
Muhammad Ali has a quote that I love. He says that service is the rent we pay to live here on this planet. And that's true. And being in service is a beautiful and profound love gesture to me, the highest. The issue I started to find for myself is that we don't live in joy personally. We don't have joy in our hearts, and joy is the language of your heart. It's the communication of your heart. And there's, if you very American style look at different languages, the root of, there's a word that I'm going to pronounce incorrectly, French. My sister alone will complain, but cœur, which is in the root of courage, and that means heart. So it's the bravery to express the truth of your heart. But we're taught from birth, pre-verbal, who we're supposed to show up for in love, and in families and in relationships. And we don't even really realize that we're creating this. I created this super hyper vigilant, responsible person because I had young parents. And so I created a story that I only receive and get love when I take care of others. But we're now in a loneliness pandemic in this world. We also have the greatest divide we've ever had in terms of how to communicate and how to connect with people. It's very complicated. And I believe a big part of that problem is that when we made these characters, we made them in survival mode as young people, but now we're adults and we don't know how this character operates as an adult.
Right.
Because we're not being honest. But we all have a GPS. It's our own heart. And that, what you asked before, what is the Joy Strategist? Why did I write this book? We got so good back to triggered, or I'm an Al-Anon, so I'm this, or I'm that. But we haven't learned that taking deep responsibility for our own feelings is our own joy, is the way we're vulnerable. That is intimacy. Not laying my problems at your feet, but being so illuminated from the inside out, following my inner GPS and trusting it, which is actually what faith is. It guides me, like you're saying, to a rhythmic life that leads me to all the things I need. But if we're people pleasing and we want people to like us before anything else, we're working to make sure that we're always pre-planning, like Spider-Man with the webs. What's everyone in here going to think about me? How should I dress? What should I say? Those are acting. But truly being in joy is making your heart your GPS and listening to it, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Doing the work to excavate the things, forgiving ourselves for situations, looking at old relationships as lessons and not just, So these are complicated things, but we can't actually access joy until we've done that inner work to create some inner systemic change.
Yes. I'm just soaking it all up because in Chattanooga, I would say that I am a leader. And so when I'm pouring into other people, it's very rare that I get people to pour into me because you're always pouring out. But so anytime I can just listen and take in, I'm going to. So forgive me if I'm not as, talkative, because I really am listening. Talk to us about your play experiences, because you talk about playing and finding joy in that and bringing out your inner child, letting the inner child loose and free. So talk to us about all the play experiences.
Yes. It started for me when I was leaving my last marriage, feeling very joyless. And that's not criticizing him. That's criticizing where I was in terms of maturity in relationships and also what I was taking on and why. And I realized that I was so control freaky. I wanted everything to be a certain way, and I was working super hard, and that was my concept of living. And I had such a hard time letting the control go that I started doing something I call aimless walking. New York, my hometown. I overstand. So I started doing aimless walking because I couldn't figure out how to let that control freak person, that character go. And even if I knew where I was going, I would just feel into the walk and just trust myself. Oh, I want to left, I'm going left. Oh, I'm going right. And I started to make this like a personal scavenger hunt for myself wherever I would go. I would take a walk. I walk every day, a few miles a day, and started to let it be exploratory and more of an adventure. And then I started to notice that everyone around me, my friends, was so uptight. This is pre-pandemic. People are laughing at me that why is joy even important? And I went to Soho House and started doing some experiences there, and people just refused to play. You know, I don't want to play, that's silly, that's ridiculous. You get someone in one activity that they feel deeply, they're a different person. They're forgetting how they're supposed to behave or how they're supposed to talk or what they're supposed to say, and they're in their free spirit. They're in their own experience. And so I started doing all kinds of things, one-on-one play dates, where I would find out the year you were born, where you're from, and your favorites. And as soon as you walked into my playhouse, I had it set for you. So you're immediately into a version of your childhood. And we talked for a while earlier so that you could let a lot of that go and start to feel a time where you did enjoy yourself. You did allow yourself to play. And that could be anything. Talking earlier about joy, it is bespoke. Because the point of it is it has to communicate to yourself.
Yeah.
If it doesn't give you a sense of inner freedom in some way, you haven't tapped into the right level of play. Some people it's very physical. Some people it's creating. Some people it's talking, whatever it is. But it's essential. I had a client who was a lawyer, and he was a lawyer because his parents told me he was going to be a lawyer. He was so miserable, now married, had children, and felt very trapped in his life.
Yeah.
When we talked for a while, I learned that he used to be a drummer as a teenager and thought that that was what his career would be in some way, or at least his life's passion. And I said, well, you have to do that again. You have in your basement, on the lawn, in a garage, with your kids, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But whatever you're doing to keep that passion and excitement alive, now post-pandemic, people are much more aware of that, which I love. So people are focused on play therapy. But what I'm realizing, again, like the triggered, now this is the top line. People feel like it's supposed to be the thing, the play.
Yeah.
The play is an entry in. It's a gateway drug to your joy. It's supposed to remind you that you have exercises and tools at your ready that you can bring in to change your emotional, mental, physical state. And I say physical because when we do lean into that spirit of joy and that spirit of pleasure, we're lighter.
Yeah.
We're younger. We don't need shots and all kinds of things to create a different experience when we are allowing our body to use the medicine of its evolution in pleasure, in play, in sensuality. So
I love it. And so how many play experiences do you have?
Well, right now I've tailored them to some top favorites. I do one that sounds so naughty, which I love. It's called the Oracle of Oral. Because during the pandemic, a lot of people who I was working with their business or their company, all of a sudden now were trapped inside a home with a person that they picked to be big in the world, to be out in the world. But a person who is in the house with you 24 hours a day, that's a different kind of person. Someone that really has similar interests or you enjoy, or that they have enough maturity to have their own self-practices, spiritual healing, calming practices, forgiveness practices. That means that person is doing active work on themselves.
Yeah.
And so it was a great opportunity to teach people that your picker's off. We pick shoes, we pick cars, we even have test drive a car. But we pick a person on a dating app or we meet through a friend, and all of a sudden we think we can have a life with a person. Ooh. But if you met a person in a club and you don't like going to a club, do you see how we're not understanding here what's happening?
Right.
And so I started to do this Oracle of Oral because it brought people in thinking I was going to make them the best in bed. And I could. But really, it's more about using your oracle skills. Like, how do you communicate your pleasure to someone else? There's no two people in the world are going to get together. It's happened maybe once or twice, but it's rare. And know what you like. Do you like things slow, fast? Do you want to talk for 4 hours first? Do you want an amuse-bouche? Is it foreplay for 7 hours? Do you like to be in nature? We have to be confident enough to even know how to communicate that. And most of us haven't practiced our own pleasure.
I was going to say, some of us don't even know what we like, what we want.
See, put your hand out here and take your other fingers and start in the middle and so slowly just graze over your hand and up your arm. Like as slow as possible. Isn't that sexy feeling? You can turn your own self on. but we don't even explore our own bodies. We have
Right.
lymph nodes here, and yet we don't ever get a massage anywhere near those areas. So it's learning to use your voice for yourself. It's learning to communicate to others what your pleasures are, and that's even with friends.
Yeah.
For years, I would never want to tell anyone. I didn't want to be a burden. So whatever you want to do, whatever you thought was fun, but that's not true. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the experience, I might have an attitude or want to leave early, but I hadn't practiced me enough.
Yeah.
So that is so essential. Play on every level. Learning how to
that.
communicate. Another one is I do that I love to do. It's called the Empire of Me. Because we'll go work for someone and give them all of our energy, our time, the best. But we are an empire. And we don't build or structure ourselves in that same way.
Yeah.
If I build a company and work with someone, I immediately want to build them an advisory board, a starting five, a team of experts. But we have friends, but do we have anyone that when we're really having difficult times, we can call them? They know they're our board, they know they're our team, and they've got our back?
Wow.
So, and then the business of us, which is about relationships, not just intimate relationships, which I think are all, but any interpersonal relationship needs work. Who you work with, us right now.
Yeah.
I could have freaked out this morning. You know what I'm saying?
Me too.
You could have freaked out this morning. So it's how we learn how to be so confident that we feel safe enough
Yeah.
to say the truth to someone else. And honestly, if we don't get there, we're faking it in every way for the rest of
Yeah.
our days. And although it feels scary, we deem communication as confrontation. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
So you can act like you're trying to keep the peace, you don't want to say anything. Eventually it'll come out.
Yeah, you sure will.
Nothing stays hidden. So if we can learn to be bold enough to feel that we are more important than other people, because basically what we're doing is we're constantly making everyone else the priority.
Yeah.
And never giving that permission to ourselves, like you said with your exhale group. So it's like, okay, you have that experience, but how do you take that on the road?
Yeah.
By feeling so safe in that one group every relationship should feel like that. Okay, I might need to sort. And then that's another journey. Do I trust that it's safe to let relationships that don't feel good to me go? Is it safe to know that what's good for me is good for everyone else in the version of their life's mission and story that we don't know?
Yeah.
So all of that stuff is so seeming light, which is why I made up the Joy Strategist, but it's really deep work. And it's forever work and secondly work.
Yeah.
Every second.
Yes. You talked about having a starting five in your personal life. Whew, Miss Grace, I've been married, divorced, and at the time that I was married to my ex-husband. I was best friends with my ex-husband's brother's wife. So when we divorced, it was like everything crumbled because I was best friends with someone who was also attached to that family. And so I was like, who am I now? Like my identity was like, wait, girl,
Yes.
let's back it up and try to like regroup, because that was my identity. I was a wife. I was best friends with that, the lady that was part of that family. So, how do you build a starting five? Like what are the components for that?
I love, this is such a good question. So you right now are an empire. You do something. You also have your podcast. You have the experiences. You had to book this session. So there's many things happening. If I called you and said, I'm starting a business, can you consult? You would immediately go down the list of things that the business needs. But we need those exact same things. You think about a professional athlete. Think about LeBron James. He's picking a team to be around that's going to have the key tools that he needs to win basketball, that particular game. But in the game of life, you also need someone, I would argue, with someone who knows how to do a podcast, someone who's done an event, someone that's traveled, someone that knows how to talk to people. So looking at what you are and what you're building in your life. I'm going to move to Istanbul. So there's a grouping of people around that. Also, people that see you deeply,
Yes.
that have your back, that are not in competition with you in a way that's detrimental to what you're building. And just to look at yourself as a professional team. And we know that when a celebrity goes on a red carpet, it's not weird that they have 45 people. One's doing the hair, one's doing the makeup, one's getting in the car. But I argue that every amateur adult person also needs a team. And so you have to pick them by what you're really aspiring. And that sounds a lot like social climbing. That's not what I mean at all. Social climbing is, I know that person, they work at that job. I'm saying, okay, I embarked on writing a book. I'd never written a book before. I leaned into my life. Who's written a book? But I also like the way they've written the book. I also like their way of working. They paced themselves. They had other things going on. They didn't take the publishing world too seriously. All the different things that I wanted, not just the end result of the book, but the full experience to represent. So I started reaching out to people I knew and people I didn't know, and having exploratory. So you have to pick it by first getting honest. Back to this again. Honest about what you really want. If you want to be, a flamethrower because your great grandmother was a flamethrower, but you really hate fire, there's a conversation happening. Right. But if you are, I want to be an ethnomusicologist. I don't even know what that is. I just heard it inside out too. Well, then look up online, ethnomusicologist. As you know, because you've reached out to people to be on your show, people are happy to talk about themselves, especially in an emerging field or something that's not as popular. I often will call and just have informational interviews with people. And just, it's great. They love it. Someone's just telling them how much they think they're amazing. Yes. They'll give you so much information. And then I reached out to people like my friend Questlove, who'd written many books, or my friend Jimmy, who's he's written 16 novels, I think, at this point. The last one being Founders, which I'm still trying to read 5 years later. It's so dense. So, and also I knew those people would also get me. Yeah. That's very specific. There's no one in the whole planet that will ever truly understand you because everything about you is inside here. No one else is in there. So I had to find people that really got me and got me enough to be able to give me some critique as well. Because that's really important as well. We don't want people just blowing smoke up our ass. We need people to say, you know what, this experience was great, but also, and what about this? And, have you considered? When I sent the book out, the first run to my starting 5, I had 3 different people say to me, oh, this is not good. Because you're talking top line, but you're not telling us anything about you. When I'm with you, I get so much, but you're not giving me anything. And I had a hard time with that because there's nothing about me that's here to talk about people. I don't have anything, as much as my 3 relationships, marriages were really difficult, they're private, a lot of the parts. And also, I don't penalize that person as doing anything to me in victimhood. I understand all the roles. I understand things I wouldn't pick now, but I get who Grace was at that moment to pick. So I was uncomfortable about sharing too much around anyone's life. And then I also realized later that I still was carrying some people pleasing because I wanted, mostly us, to feel good about what I was saying. The first person who freaked out, and I couldn't believe it, was my mother. She was really hurt that I said that I was in foster care because she felt like I was saying that she was wrong or bad. To me, I was saying, what a courageous woman. She fought to get me back. She was 17 years old and raised a future adult on her own. But it was an interesting lesson to me because it also made me realize that choosing yourself often is uncomfortable. But back to faith, I believe strongly in a God source. So whatever is your God of your understanding, whether that's nature or whatever that is, there's got to be some trust and some faith. We drive in the street, we trust that everyone's going to stay in these little lines. But we want to manifest and open our hearts, and really all we're doing is manifucking when we don't actually believe we deserve inside.
Sheesh. Did y'all hear that? Oh my goodness. Oh. What?
Yeah, this is a big fun topic.
Oh my gosh. So I'm still on this last one that you just said. It goes back to trust and being honest. Choosing yourself. Say that quote again.
Which part? The very last one? That we all want to manifest and we want to have these big dreams, whatever they are. But if we haven't actually done the inner work to dismantle all this fear or people pleasing or not choosing ourselves, we're manifucking ourselves because whatever we're putting thought into is our reality. So we feel like we're manifesting and we have all these terms around being, self-love and, goddess and God and king and queen, and that's great. But if there's not work to actually make yourself believe you have permission to do these things, believe you deserve these things, And instead of looking for the worst thing that could happen, believing that the best thing that could happen is always available and possible for you,
always,
then you're in an opposite of manifestation at all times. And so joy is not some frivolous thing. It's your birthright. And it's also a transformational tool of evolution for yourself. But it's we don't live in a society that teaches us honesty or truth. Yeah. Even in religious context, I tell people always go back and read the book. Yeah. Read your book, because what I'm talking about is in each one of these in different ways. But we are more afraid of each other and what people think than we are of whatever God source we're putting our energy to, clearly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have a different world. So if we can just be those people, even when people lean into relationship, they're always talking about this kind of person they want to have, but they're not that person.
Right.
So this is all connected to the Joy Strategy, that we have to look at ourselves as the chief energy officer of our own life. And if we're the chief energy officer of our own life, then we need to be focusing every second on our energy, our energetic exchange with ourselves and others. And that is frightening, because it makes that you have to be a pioneer and stand away from the pack and all these scary things.
How do you do the inner work?
The first thing is most people are terrified to be alone. And the alone thing is scary because now the voices that you don't want to hear that blame you for some things in your own life, shocking, are right there waiting for you.
Yeah.
And so it's back to that conversation of, instead of looking for everything to be happy, happy, joy, joy, looking for the truth, whatever it is. A couple of years ago, when I was newly breaking up with this people-pleasing person, I was so uncomfortable because I would go into any situation like this one, and I would want everyone to feel good, and everyone to be happy with me, and everyone to think I did a great job. But that means I'm not doing a service to myself, because how could that be? So that uncomfortableness of doing what I feel, even if someone else is giving me some funky look in the corner or uncomfortable, that was work alone. So the most important thing, I work with people, I start them with a me altar. It used to be in the house, but now I realize we're all so transient, moving around. Take an old book. We don't need anything new. I'm sure you have a journal somewhere in your house you haven't used.
Y'all listening?
And then make it gorgeous. Put a cover on it, collage it, decoupage it, paint it, whatever. It's yours. It's your me altar. And instead of just writing when you feel crappy, anytime someone sends you a birthday card and it has in there, you're amazing, you do this great, cut it out and put it in there. Someone says something positive to you, write it in there. Once a week, I'll go back in my book, and sometimes there's things that people said about me or I thought of my own, and I'll just color around it or put stickers around it, highlight it, and go back. And that's the same book I use in any professional setting, because why would I need a new clean slate? This one already has my superpower in it. And then I commit that every day I'm going to write positive things about myself. And also things that were challenging that I'm so proud of, how I saw it clearly. So giving yourself tools, creating a starting five, finding someone that once a week you can have a call with. Or maybe there's I have a book, 3 of my friends, and we just read a book a month that is all about empowerment, and we talk about it honestly. So it's first looking at yourself in truth, looking at the world around yourself, starting by forgiving yourself for things that you're beating yourself up about, and start to carve out a world that you would do if I came to you and said, what can I do? You would know. How do I feel better? You tell me. So start with that same advice for yourself. Make yourself whoever you treat better than yourself, your lover, your boss, your parent. Treat yourself even 10% that good is a start. Ooh. And then be honest in every second. I love the pause. And in Al-Anon, they have this quote, pause, which is, I'm going to have to send you this pause, the breakdown. But it's something like, think about if you're in integrity in every moment. So if you say something to me that triggers me or makes me feel uncomfortable, I'm going to pause. What is that? Is mine? Do I have to say something to her? Is that how I'm really feeling? So learn to put these tiny little pregnant pauses after every interaction or before. How do I want to come into this room? I want to bring healing. I want to bring joy. And starting to make yourself this person that you're healing back to joy.
Yeah.
That's and then your own tools. When you were 4, 5, 6, 9, did you have something that made you feel incredible? Do it. At least once a week. Mine was swings. I couldn't find anything. And then I went to a park and I got in a swing. And when I was lifted into the air, I felt it. I was like, oh, that weightlessness, that beauty, that joy. And I started giving myself more of that. So, we have these tools. It just feels very scary to be honest about our desires. Who the hell do you think you are comes up first for almost everybody.
Yeah.
So that little bit of work that sounds simple, but that could be a month, a year, a day, 17 years. But do it and make it your priority. You brush your teeth, right? You breathe. You have to go to the bathroom. You have to eat. Well, you also have to find a state that illuminates you.
Yeah.
And every metaphysical teacher, healer, therapist, pastor, life coach, great teacher, we're all saying the exact same thing.
Yep.
And we have just not found the courage to make that our number one practice.
Y'all, I'm definitely gonna have to play this episode back and keep listening, keep getting it in your spirit, because from day to day we do so much. And I think, well, I'm just speaking for me, I do so much day to day that it's almost like I'm just on autopilot sometimes. And so sometimes I do forget to do stuff for me or do stuff that makes me light up. And when you're talking about the swing and that feeling like being lifted up in the air, I'm trying to think if I have something that, so it doesn't need to be something that doesn't involve other people, just an activity.
Well, here's what I say to people who say that they have no room for any play of any kind ever. I say, when you wake up in the morning, nothing is more essential how you start the day. There's an expression, if you don't run the day runs you. And I can see on the days where I don't do my morning practices what a different experience I and the world have of me. And so it's changed based on where I am if I'm traveling. But if you wake up in the morning and you have 4 kids and a husband or a wife or a partner or whatever you have, a whole family to take care of, aging elders, you can at least, for the first 30 seconds before you grab your phone and you're on someone else's ride, instantly, just to look around and be grateful. Give yourself 20 grateful. Oh, I'm so grateful I woke up. I'm so grateful I have sheets. I'm so grateful there's a sun shining. I'm so grateful that there's rain, to whatever it is. If you have another minute, what do you like? Is music your favorite thing? Then make yourself a 3-song playlist that reminds you of the most delicious part of yourself and play it instantly when you get up while you're brushing your teeth. If you don't have any time, put some jokes, a joke book next to the toilet, read a joke. So find the moments to start the day and set the tone. And that alone, and you especially when you're traveling, nothing makes people more depressed when they're out of complete habit and routine. These spiritual or emotional or joy routines really help anchor you into wherever you are, there you are, So how do you start this practice? By realizing that to set your day up, to set your chief energy officer up, you need to make some tools for yourself.
Yeah.
What are your tools? I have one client that she was a dancer. So she has to put one song on that when she hears it, she feels invincible. And she has to dance like crazy. I don't care if it's in the bathroom, in her bedroom, in the hallway, but just to feel the things that infuse you with the wanting to create more joy in your day, in your life, with other people. The simple way. And when you feel uncomfortable, this is where people stop. When you are uncomfortable, know the work's beginning. As soon as it's awkward or you're judging it or questioning it, congratulations. You're doing it.
Congratulations, y'all. You're doing it. So when you feel uncomfortable, when it feels awkward, the work is beginning. Y'all know I always ask this question when I sit down with podcast guests. I tell them to finish this statement. I am proof that brown girls can. So I want to hear what Miss Grace will say she is proof of.
Oh, this is fantastic. I am proof that brown girls can do anything. I am a 10th grade high school dropout, and I am not advocating no education. That was just the circumstances of my life. And I have been, at 19, the head chef at the Cosby Show. I was executive vice president of marketing, digital, and creative at Island FJ Mercury. I wrote a book. I've created foundations, sat on boards, gotten art pieces places. You can do anything you believe you can do. And that's everybody. And especially people who feel that the odds are stacked against us. What can we do? We can defy the no's. We can say, no, that is not how my life is going to go. Let me show you. And so I am proof that brown girls can do anything.
Anything. Oh my goodness, y'all. What's next for you?
Well, I am 55, so social media is not, I was not raised on social media. And my daughter and my partner and my sister are on me that this book has changed people's lives. And yet I made a commitment to figure out a way to do it my way. And so I just created this whole campaign I'm so excited about. Yay. I also started writing another book about intimacy, because that's a big situation I really want to get into. And so I've been writing about intimacy. I'm still doing my experiences all over. I just signed with the new speaker bureau, so I'm excited to talk and share more and go to more schools and just get people to understand. If nothing else, if you can take away that our energy is our doing, and we have a responsibility to have energy that's inspiring for other people's delicious energy. If people get that, just you and I right now, I'm already a success at this. So that's what I'm working on, just enjoying myself, continuing to grow in that way for myself and inspire other people to really be the pioneers of their own life and the way they want to live, especially brown girls.
You are definitely doing it. Y'all, when she came in, she said, she said she freaked out a little bit this morning because she said yes before she even thought about it, right? And so that's also in the book, talking about your yes, right? But I know that I'm in purpose because everybody that I've reached out to has just said yes. And they're always like, maybe I should have sent it to my publicist or my manager, but something about you just said, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll sit down with you and talk on the podcast, which I'm so grateful for you saying yes. But that just speaks to just being in purpose. And that's what's kind of fueling me and making me more excited for this journey. But I thank you so much. I can't wait to read the book about intimacy, y'all. We're going to get into all those things,
yes,
too.
Please. We especially need to talk about this.
Ooh.
Yes, there's a lot there.
Yes, because we shove it under the rug when you really be wanting to come on out with it.
That fear.
I know.
Forgiving ourselves.
I know, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. When I think I posted the book in my story, and I was like, you should come on Brown Girls Can. And she responded and she was like, let's do it. And I was like, wait, what?
And then you are a superhuman, because then you said, wherever it is, I'll fly there and book a studio. That's what Brown Girls can do. Not accept a no of any kind.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. If it's in my power, I'm coming. I want to show other women what it feels like and what it looks like to fearlessly go after what it is you want to do. And I'm not even necessarily saying that I want to be a podcaster or I want to have my own show but it's part of Brown Girls Can, the movement. I think while I'm building the podcast, it's bringing awareness to Brown Girls Can. And so Miss Grace said she's going to come to the festival. Yay.
And by the way, you already are a podcaster. Sorry.
I am a podcaster.
Yeah, so
own
it. Claim it.
I'm claiming it.
Yeah.
So I'm a podcaster, y'all, out here showing the world that brown girls can.
Podcast.
Yeah. So y'all make sure y'all pick up The Joy Strategist by Miss Grace Harry. We're going to toast one last time, and I thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Brown Girls Can, the podcast. All right, until the next one, y'all. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for vibing with us on Brown Girls Can, the podcast. If you felt this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with your girl gang. You can catch us on social media on Instagram at Brown Girls Can, the podcast, and on Facebook at Brown Girls Can. And remember, you are already everything you are becoming. So until next time, keep showing up, glowing up, and choosing you. Always remember that you can do anything.